Welcome to another NEBA Spotlight. So happy to introduce you to Caryn. Caryn, tell us about you. Tell us about your business.
Hello, I'm Caryn Lee with Narrative. And Narrative is a boutique consulting firm partnering with clients to transform culture, engage employees, and improve communication, all for a larger impact. So I do three things. I have services, which I'll tell you more about what those are. I have a product. It's a proprietary personality assessment. It's better than the ones you've heard of before. And I do some speaking. So these are the problems that I solve. I solve if you'd like your culture to be different, if there's a decline in productivity, engagement, or initiative. Some team members are great at what they do, but they have a development area, right? Like they have trouble following up, or a lot of times it has to do with relating to others. Two or three team members don't get along, and it's causing a lot of tension among the team. Your managers need to learn how to manage, or you're concerned that you may lose some of your star performers. So these are some of the problems that I solve. I'm going to go back for just a minute and tell you that I didn't tell you anything about me personally. Um, I've been married for 28 years. I had to go out of the country to find my husband. He's from England. I was working there for a couple of years. I have three children. My daughter is in Manhattan working at PwC. My son he's an engineer. He works for Rogers Builders here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my youngest is at NC State. She's an amazing artist, but she's there for biochemistry of all things. So that's a little bit more about me and my family. Going back to the services, leadership development, which could be the leaders have taken 360s, they've heard back, on the things that they do well, the things they don't do well. It could be that I'm getting them together to do that team building. Lots of different things on leadership development. Team development is what I do a lot of. This is where I've given them the personality assessment ahead of time. I've worked with them individually. Then we get together as a team and we're focusing on learning about each other. And how do we relate to each other? How do we communicate? I'm going to stop here because in the breakout room, we talked about how, it's kind of boring to do the PowerPoint and all that. So I'm going to stop for a second and say, I'm just going to give you a little taste of what we do in the team building. Okay, so one of 23 traits, personality traits, we show your scores on a spectrum. Let's talk about imagination. So on the left side of the spectrum, people they're the doers, right? They like to do, like to check off the list. I'm going to ask you in a minute to tell me where you stand on the spectrum. They like their routine. They don't tend to like change. They tend to like the details. So that's people who score on the left, the doers, detail-oriented, practical. And then you've got on the right-hand side of that spectrum, the imagination spectrum, you've got people who love ideas. They're strategic, they're creative, they're thinking way out in the future. And they don't necessarily like making things happen so much. They just want to go from idea to idea. So I've told you about the extremes on each side. The people in the middle, they're the translators between the ideas people and the doers. So they can relate to both sides. So I want you to raise your hand if you are the doer. If you're that person that's the doer, like your routine, detail oriented, raise your virtual hand. I'm scrolling through. Tell me raise your hand now if you're more of that ideas person, that creative, that strategic. Okay, and then you've got people in the middle. Who's in the middle? Do a little bit of both.
Mhm.
Okay, that was just a short little snippet of one of how we work on where everybody stands. How do I relate? If I'm the ideas person, how do I relate to that person that's the doer? I should approach them differently, right? I don't want to go in and just talk about my ideas all day because they're going to be rolling their eyes thinking about the work they have at their desk, right? If I'm the implementer, I don't want to go talk to the ideas people and start talking about my detailed to-do list. They're just going to be bored, right? So this is just a little snippet of what we do in team development. I got to make sure I have, okay. The conflict resolution, this is if you've got two people that are not getting along. Because I use a lot of research-based assessments in my work, I will work with them to understand the root cause of their conflict. It's probably because they're very different. They think in a very different way, or they're motivated by different things. So then we can get to that brings the tension down when you understand each other. And then we get to action. What do we do about it so that we don't have this conflict anymore? Cultural transformation is really looking at the organization overall. What is our culture now? Where do we want it to be? How do we get there? Management training speaks for itself. And then I do individual coaching. It's usually a byproduct of when I've worked with a team, then I start coaching some people. So the narrative Big Five assessment, just so you know, it is the standard, the model that I use for my assessment. No one owns the Big Five model. There are multiple assessments based on it. I have one of them. It is the standard for psychologists and academics. It goes deeper. You don't walk away with a letter or number or four letters. You're anywhere on that spectrum on 23 different traits. So there's almost an infinite combination. We are unique people, so we're more complex than a letter or number. That goes to the next one, a unique combination of 23 traits. And then the last is that you can use it from when you starting out, you can use it to help select people, although it's a small percentage of the decision, all the way through out placement. I do some speaking. My keynote speech, the main one is called Influencing with Integrity, the New Leadership Advantage. It's all about that platinum rule, treating others the way they want to be treated. Just like I gave you the example of imagination. How do I want to treat someone that's the idea person? How do I want to approach them with my idea? How do I want to approach someone who's the implementer or somewhere in between? And then the other one is stop chasing change. We are awesome as we are. We don't want to change who we are at our core, but sometimes we need to stretch, right? If I'm an introvert, I go into a networking meeting, I need to use my extroverted energy. I have some, I just don't have a lot, right? So I can stretch, but then that's just a situation. I'm still an introvert, right? And good referrals for me are anyone with maybe new leadership team members, anybody with a team, anyone that has a conflict, high turnover, event planners or association leaders, because I can speak at their conferences, HR directors, managers, and generalists, they might be interested in my certification for my assessment. And then I also work with individuals who are looking at what gets me excited, what are my strengths, so that I can focus on what is my next career, right? So I don't just help people find a job. I really want to work with those people who are saying, what's next for me? What is going to excite me? Any questions?
What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to just like learn more individually for their business?
Oh, yeah. So I'll put my information in the chat.
All right, awesome. Give a verbal like phone number or email just
Oh,
for the
uh,
video.
okay. CC Lee at aboutnarrative.com, 704-957-9789.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caryn.
Thank you.